quote, by simultaneously expanding white men's right to kill and constricting women's right not to die, this Supreme Court, referring to the current United States Supreme Court, has turned the Constitution into a homicide pact as well, close quote. Did you write that?
The Supreme Court is a death panel. Is that your opinion?
In the context of this hearing, I think it is important to emphasize why I am here, which is to talk about my views on the First Amendment.
No. That's not what I ask you. Do you think the Supreme Court is a death panel?
Hey folks, welcome back. Today we're diving into a Senate hearing that's got the internet buzzing. On one side, a law professor who's written some very provocative things about the Supreme Court and the Constitution. On the other, Senators Marsha Blackburn and John Kennedy, armed with receipts and not holding back. This wasn't just political theater, it was a showdown over free speech, judicial integrity, and academic responsibility. So here's a straight-up, no-fluff breakdown of what went down. Let's go. The scene opens with a
Professor Franks, let me ask you, I listened to your and Ms. Hemingway's testimony and Professor Turley, so I got part of it. As I understand it, your position, Professor Franks, is that I think you used the word myth. It is a myth that the Biden administration used government to compel speech, private speech, but that the Trump administration is doing that. Is that a fair characterization?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Do you think perhaps you're allowing your personal political beliefs to affect your objectivity here?
No, I do not. What is guiding my answers here is that I'm looking to see what the Supreme Court has said. You notice that in the testimony about the censorship industrial complex.
I got that part.
No, I just
want
to
to
clarify.
No, but I've only got 5 minutes. Your answer is no, as I appreciate it. Let me ask you a couple questions. You wrote a law review article in December of 2023 for the New York University Law Review, and it was about the two cases, Bruin, Supreme Court case, and Dobbs. Remember that article?
Yes, I do.
Okay. In this article, you said, I'm going to quote your words, taken together, these two cases demonstrate that the Supreme Court has embraced the use of the Constitution as a tool of racial patriarchy, end quote. Did you say that?
Yes.
Okay. And then you went on to say, quote, when the Supreme Court declares that there is a constitutional right to armed self-defense in public, it openly embraces and promotes a culture that privileges white men's ability to terrorize and kill those that they perceive as threats, close quote. Did I read that correctly?
I believe so. Thank you for reading.
Okay. And did you also say in that article, I'm going to quote again, quote, by simultaneously expanding white men's right to kill and constricting women's right not to die, this Supreme Court, referring to the current United States Supreme Court, has turned the Constitution into a homicide pact as well, close quote. Did you write that?
That sounds like me.
Okay. In November of 2024, you tweet, don't you?
I'm not sure what the current terminology is for it, but yes, I am sometimes on the social platform that was formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, you're on a lot, aren't you?
I'm not sure what the relevance of that is.
You're trying to be provocative on there, don't you?
Again, I am not sure what the relevance
Well,
of this question is.
let me show you the relevance. On November 7th, 2024, from your tweet, here's one of your tweets at 2:41 p.m., quote, the majority of Americans hate women. The majority of Americans hate women more than they love anything, including democracy, close quote. Did I read that correctly?
I am not sure what this has to do with the subject matter of this
Did
hearing.
you say it?
I do not have those words in front of me. I probably said something along those lines, but
Yeah,
what is
you
the
said it.
relevance of
Here
that
it
to
is,
this
big as
hearing?
Dallas, right there.
Yes.
But your political beliefs don't impact your feelings about President Biden or President Trump.
I don't have feelings about either of them. What I have
Sounds
is
to me
doctrine.
like you have your favorite feeling is anger. Let me ask you this. You issued another tweet. This was in May of 2022. You've just been tweeting up a storm. You said, quote, "There's a reason why the conservative-dominated Supreme Court thinks the Constitution does not contain a right to an abortion, but is convinced that it contains an individual right to possess firearms. And that reason is white male supremacy," close quote. Did I read that correctly?
Is there a question in this?
Did I read that correctly? That's
Is there
my
a question
question.
that is relevant to this hearing?
Did I
Your
read that
question.
correctly? Do you really think that the United States Supreme Court, you're an officer of the court, is guided by white male supremacy?
I believe that the First Amendment prohibits the president
Did you
and other
say
state
that?
officials for punishing people for
Did
their
you honestly say that, Professor?
I
And you
believe
expect us,
that the First
as a
Amendment,
Democratic witness, to take you seriously? Are you kidding me?
I believe that you should take the
You've
First
heard of
Amendment
curb your
seriously, sir.
enthusiasm? Here's my saying, curb my nausea.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to each of you for taking your time to be here today. Dr. Franks, we're here to talk about free speech, correct?
Yes.
And we're here to talk about that being a fundamental right guaranteed by the Constitution, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the Supreme Court plays an essential role in guaranteeing those constitutional rights, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I want to talk to you about a tweet that you had in January 2024. The Supreme Court is a death panel. Is that your opinion?
In the context of this hearing, I think it is important to emphasize why I am here, which is to talk about my views on the First Amendment and my understanding of the
That's not
doctrine.
what I asked you. Do you think the Supreme Court is a death panel?
In the
for
context of
free
the cases
speech?
that, not for free speech, no, that was not the context of that particular
Oh, my goodness,
communication.
okay. Well, it appears that you see the Supreme Court as a death panel, and that is some of the same rhetoric that unfortunately we continue to hear from some on the left who are trying to villainize justices who are doing their job. And I would like to just ask you, knowing that you have put this out, that the Supreme Court is a death panel, then let me ask you this. Do you look at Justices Sotomayor, Kagan, Jackson as members of the death panel, or is this just the justices that you disagree with?
I do not believe that the comments that you are referring to have relevance for this particular hearing, but here's what I will say. This is an administration that is threatening judges in addition to other people that he disagrees with. So, yes,
Okay,
if your question is, do I defend judges?
I'm ready to
Am
move
I
on.
worried
Thank
about
you.
judges'
Ms.
security?
Hemingway,
I
I'd
am.
like to
I am
come
worried
to
about this
you.
administration.
The scene opens with a U.S. Senate hearing. Professors are testifying about free speech, but it quickly turns into a heated exchange when Professor Marianne Franks is grilled over past writings and tweets. Senator Kennedy reads directly from her published work. We're talking about claims that the Supreme Court is a death panel, and that the Constitution has become a homicide pact, driven by white male supremacy. Yes, those are real quotes. When asked if she really stands by those words, Franks dances around the question. She says the quotes are out of context or not relevant to the hearing, even though she admits she wrote them. Kennedy pushes harder, asking why she downplays censorship under Biden but blasts Trump for the same things. Franks denies political bias, but the paper trail says otherwise. That's not just ironic, it's disqualifying. Here's the big picture. When you replace constitutional principle with ideology, liberty starts slipping through the cracks. If the Constitution is just a tool for power, not a standard for justice, then none of us are safe, no matter which side you're on. This hearing wasn't just another headline, it exposed something deeper, a war over how we interpret the Constitution, and who gets to define what justice really means. So here's the question. Do we want a country where law is impartial and speech is truly free, or one where legal interpretation is just another political battleground? If you care about truth, liberty, and not letting hot takes become the foundation of our legal system, hit that like button, drop a comment below, and don't forget, subscribe for more bold takes, real talk, and free thinking. Stay strong, stay sharp, and as always, keep thinking free.